Moving on to video number 2 now, and I want to talk a little bit more, carrying on from last week. This is an improvised video because I haven't actually taken any notes on this, so it's just completely on the hoof, as it were. But the question about criticism, because I know some of you, I think, put in the comments box that you'd be happy for me to carry on talking about it, really. In last week's video, I was talking about feelings and how they could be misconstrued, and not always the way an autistic person displays their feelings or manifests their feelings, or not, as the case may be, can then be misinterpreted by other people in rather hostile ways. But there are many other ways that you go through life as an autistic person feeling criticised and unfairly judged. Speaking personally, obviously, I've always been outside of the mainstream. I've never fitted in, and this, as a child, this didn't really bother me. I wasn't fully aware of it until I was about maybe 9 or 10, but it didn't really bother me. It only started to really bother me, I think, in a sort of subliminal sense. I had Kate Winslet there to kind of protect me, in a sense, from feeling it fully, because I was so immersed in the world of Kate Winslet and my interest in Kate Winslet that I was kind of cushioned a little bit from some of it, and I think that's why having special interest can be so valuable. We take your mind of it. But I did start to become more aware as a teenager of this difference and how I was excluded and I felt weird and messed up, and I used to blame my parents. I used to think, if only my parents had socialised me more when I was a child, if they sent me to more clubs, if I'd gone to Brownies or something like that. I was actually badgering my mum sometimes to send me to Brownies, and I almost got there, but they didn't have enough places, and the only reason I wanted to go to Brownies was because I thought it would help me socialise, because I was aware that I couldn't socialise, and I thought that it was something to do with just not being taught properly, and I blame my parents. But obviously I now know that isn't the case, obviously, and it's autism, but at the time I didn't know, so I was thinking of other explanations. But yeah, you can be criticised at so many different levels. Being autistic, I have problems with, I don't always process things the way people expect. I'm not always quick, and this has affected me in voluntary situations before, when I'm not quick enough, or I drift off. I have this tendency to randomly drift off whenever I'm in a social situation, or where there are lots of instructions flying around me. I have this tendency to just zone out. And people then think I'm not listening, and it is kind of true, I have stopped listening, but people take it wrongly, and they kind of I can just tell that I can just tell that I'm feeling like I haven't got it right, and it's really uncomfortable, and that's part of the reason why I'm just avoid social situations as much as possible, because it's such an uncomfortable thing, and so I have this tendency to drift off and get distracted and kind of go into my own head, and for example, so in any situation where I'm supposed to be working, I might be randomly thinking, say, about other things, or I might get triggered, or my mind OCD can come into it as well, and my mind might start, say, obsessively thinking about something not related to what I'm supposed to be doing. And then, of course, I've got to maintain this mask, so I've got to pretend I'm all with it. So sometimes I'll pretend that I'm with it, but actually I'm not with it. I'm kind of sometimes people criticise me. They say smile. God, I hate it when people do that. Sometimes when I'm kind of daydreaming or drifting off, my face can become quite deadpan. And it's not intentional, it's just that I've drifted off. It doesn't mean I'm in a bad mood, but of course, it's ironically, when they tell me to smile, then of course I do go into a bad mood, because I feel really offended and upset that I've just been unfairly criticised, and so what, why do people expect your mouth always has to hang a certain way? I don't know. So yeah, there's that, and then also, so I'm not always the quickest person with certain practical tasks, following instructions. Someone might show me how something is done, and then I'll quickly forget, or I'll do it the wrong way, and then I get shouted at because I've done it the wrong way because they haven't explained it, or it's taken me longer than most people to take in the instruction and to fully understand what to do, particularly when everything else around me is rushed and highly, that just stresses me out. Whereas say on my own, when I'm working things out on my own, I can take more time over it, and it seems to be quite specific to social situations. because like, and I think it's more of a way, and I think it's a way like I'm giving information, whereas if I'm left to say read about it and work through it on my own, it might take me a lot longer than another person, but I will get there in the end. But of course people don't like that. They expect you to be able to do it quick, now, and they expect you to be able to do it this way. So it's kind of funny because it's like in my own kitchen I can do really nice meals, and because obviously like cooking is my special interest, which helps, and I'm lucky in that respect. Because but people say, oh, you should go and work in a kitchen or something, oh, you could go and work in a, and it's like, yeah, I wish, because seriously I would get shouted at, I would not keep the job, it would be awful, because fast pace, lots of people, hearing instructions, I wouldn't last a minute. So it's a completely different scenario from being in my familiar kitchen, being able to take as long as I want, and working towards in my own time, on my own, following my own rules, than being in that social fast-paced situation and having to follow instructions is a completely different thing. And I don't think people always understand that when they're thinking about autism and what an autistic person can do, because like in the same area cooking, my skills can vary tremendously depending on the situation I'm in. So in my own kitchen, I can make a really nice meal, and like people might say I've got great skill in that. Obviously it's taken me a lot of time to acquire that skill, and like I say, because I've got a special interest in that area, and I've been lucky to have support workers, and like my mum used to spend a lot of time teaching me these skills, so I've been fortunate in that. Not all autistic people are that lucky. I have managed, all of those factors coming together, the interest and the support has obviously helped in that regard, but that doesn't translate into me being able to doesn't translate into me being able to do the same, how can I put it, to my mind's gone, the words, to do the same, to do it as well, my mind's gone, how do I put this, how do I phrase this, it doesn't translate into me being able to do the same tasks, say, in a different environment or a different context. So that's just an example of that. I would like to talk more maybe in another video about the social side, because this is an area where people often criticise, and I don't have great social motivation. I think, paradoxically, I possibly had more social motivation when I was a child, before I realised how cruel people could be. Because I did used to try, I was the active but odd type of autistic person, because because I used to actively approach people, but I couldn't make friends because I didn't know how to do it in an appropriate way, because I was too it had to be done my way, and I used to try and collect friends, but I collected friends a bit like they were objects, and I couldn't really share people, so they were like 100% mine in a kind of like possessive sense, so obviously that didn't go very well, and I used to say weird things to people, and I used to find it funny, and they used to like ridicule me, and I didn't care, because at that point I had no understanding, and I really did not care. I didn't actually care that other people laughed at me, because I was just so out of it socially, I just didn't care. And I think that's probably in a way a saving grace, because it stopped me getting down by it. And it was when as a teenager I became more aware that it started to affect me, and then I started to try and mask more, because I became aware that actually my behaviour was a bit inappropriate and I needed to kind of change it. And it was actually at the same time that I started to lose that social motivation, because I think I started to lose it more when it became more small talk based, because I could not move on to that level. The small talk bit is really, really draining. I just find it so draining and like socially mind-boggling. I can do the mask so people think I'm doing it okay, but really deep down I'm like, what? And I'm so glad when I'm out of it, and I'm so glad when I'm on my own. It's like freedom. So so I don't really have great social motivation, and I can happily spend days and weeks without seeing anyone other than my family, and not actually get down by it. There was this meme going around Twitter recently that I thought was quite interesting, saying that, like, talking about the need for social connection over socialising, which I thought was pretty well put, actually. So there's this difference between connection and socialising. So I do need to connect with other people, and I do that via my videos and my social media, and that's my way, I guess, of feeling connected, and that's enough for me. But socialising I can do without. So I need connection, but I don't need socialising. And I don't know if I really need friends, not in a conventional sense. I mean, I like having a few people that I see now and again, but I don't need people a lot in my life. But obviously you get criticised for that because people, like non-autistic people, think that you're lacking if you don't have social motivation. They think that the world revolves around socialising, and if I don't want to go to parties or I can't be asked to meet people or go to family get-togethers, they think that I must be getting they think I'm depressed or something, or like they judge me for it, and it's not. It's just because I've got better things to do, quite frankly, and meet people, and like I just find being around people for that small talk stuff really, really boring, and I've just got better things to do. It's like you don't learn anything from being around people. We're just boring and draining, and like I've just got better things to do. So that's basically it. Anyway, I'm going to stop this video now, but like I say, if you want me to talk more about this, do let me know, and also if you've got any questions on this topic, do let me know, because I can then answer your questions in other videos. So that's it for now, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week. So thank you for watching.